Most people live like shadows, chasing approval, molding themselves to fit, hoping to be enough. But what if the very thing you're chasing is the reason you feel lost? True power doesn't come from applause. It comes from mastering the one thing the world can't take away, your mind. The moment you stop looking outward for validation and start building inward strength, your life begins to transform, quietly, relentlessly, unshakably. This is not just a mindset shift, it's a complete rebirth. Stay with me, because in the next moments you'll discover how unstoppable you were always meant to be. Most people never live their own lives. They live reflections, projections, and expectations stitched together by the hands of others. From the earliest moments, they're taught to seek approval from parents, teachers, friends, strangers. They build dreams shaped by someone else's fears. They make choices haunted by the fear of being judged. Every step, every decision whispered under their breath, "Am I good enough yet?" But no amount of applause can fill a soul starving for its own approval. No number of likes, compliments, or achievements can silence the deep ache inside a person who has forgotten who they are. They move faster, they hustle harder, they chase louder applause, thinking that if they run fast enough, far enough, they will finally feel whole. But the finish line keeps moving. The goalposts of acceptance are always just beyond reach, and the more they chase, the emptier they become. You cannot satisfy a hunger for authenticity by eating the breadcrumbs of external praise. You cannot find your true power by becoming what everyone else wants you to be. Approval is a drug, and like every addiction, it demands more while giving less. The high of being seen, liked, applauded is momentary, and then the crash comes, the doubts creep back in. The fear grows louder. The question reappears. Who am I really without all this noise? The truth is brutal, but it's freeing. If you live for their approval, you will die by their rejection. Every compliment you depend on is a sword waiting to fall. Every applause you crave becomes a chain around your mind. And the scariest part is, most people never realize they're trapped. They build entire lives, entire identities around what others want from them, only to wake up one day and realize they don't even recognize their own reflection. But it doesn't have to end that way. There is a door, there is an escape, and it starts the moment you decide to stop chasing what was never yours to begin with. The moment you turn your focus inward, when you stop asking, "How do they see me?" and start asking, "How do I see myself?" That's when the chains begin to fall. That's when you stop performing and start living. Most people will never make that turn. Most people will stay trapped, running faster and faster on a treadmill of empty approval. But you have a different calling, a different destiny, not to live as a mirror of others' expectations, but to become a light in your own right. The first step to freedom is this. Realize that no one's opinion of you matters more than your own, not because you are arrogant, but because you were never meant to beg for worth you already possess. Look inward, own your mind, guard your spirit, because the moment you do, the world outside no longer controls you. And that, my friend, is where true strength begins. There's a moment, often so small it feels almost invisible, when a person's life begins to change forever. It's not loud, it doesn't come with fanfare, it doesn't announce itself with flashing signs, it happens quietly. In the unseen chambers of the heart, in the deep corridors of the mind, the moment you stop chasing and start choosing. It's the second you realize that nothing out there will ever complete you. Not their praise, not their acceptance, not their approval. It's the second you turn your gaze inward and see, maybe for the first time, the untapped power you've been giving away piece by piece. Most will never experience it. They will spend a lifetime pointing fingers, blaming circumstances, waiting for the world to change while refusing to take responsibility for their own becoming. But the ones who do, the ones who have that inner awakening, they walk a different path. They understand a secret the rest of the world forgets. The real battleground is not out there, it's inside. When you focus inward, everything external begins to lose its hold. The distractions lose their appeal. The noise grows quieter. The drama fades into the background like static you no longer need to hear. Suddenly, you're not pulled by every opinion. You're not bent by every expectation. You stop trying to fit into spaces that were never designed for you. You stop begging for invitations to tables where you were never meant to sit. The ground underneath you feels different, stronger, steadier. You walk with a kind of quiet authority that doesn't need to shout to be heard. You carry yourself differently because your value is no longer up for negotiation. It is a settled matter decided not by the world, but by you. And the world notices. They may not know exactly what changed, but they can feel it. You move differently. You speak differently. You respond differently. You no longer react to the chaos outside because your peace is rooted inside. And the ones who once had power over you, their opinions, their rejections, their judgments, they lose their grip. Not because they changed, but because you did. This shift is the beginning of mastery, not the mastery of others, the mastery of self. Because when you control your inner world, your outer world has no choice but to adjust. When you lead your thoughts, your emotions, your energy, you stop being a passenger in your own life. You become its driver. It all begins with a decision, a quiet, defiant decision. I will not live as a mirror anymore. I will live as a light. The world may pull, but you will not bend. The noise may roar, but you will not drown. Because once you turn your focus inward, you unlock a strength that no storm can shake and no man can steal. This is the moment everything changes, and once you taste it, you'll never go back. Power is not something you find in the eyes of others. It's not something you earn by being liked or given because you played the game well enough. Real power, the kind that cannot be stolen or shaken, is built from the inside out. It is carved in silence, in the lonely hours when no one is clapping, when no one is watching, when the only approval you seek is your own. Most people never understand this. They spend their lives begging for scraps of validation, hoping for a nod, a pat on the back, a word of praise. They hand over their peace like it's a bargain to be made. They stand outside themselves, waiting to be chosen, waiting to be seen, waiting to be told they are enough. But begging for validation weakens you. Every time you need their approval, you give them your power. Every time you adjust your truth to fit their expectations, you shrink your spirit. Validation is a trap dressed up as a reward. It feels good for a moment, like candy for the starving, but it leaves you emptier than before. It keeps you dependent. It keeps you questioning your worth. It keeps you small. A mind addicted to validation can never be trusted to lead. It will always bend toward the loudest applause, the nearest acceptance, the shallowest approval. But there is another way, a higher way. And it begins when you stop seeking permission to be powerful, when you stop asking, am I enough, and start declaring, I am enough. You build inner power by mastering yourself, not by manipulating others' opinions. You cultivate it the way the strongest forces in nature are built, quietly, steadily, deeply. Self-mastery is not glamorous. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't come from a single moment of motivation. It is forged in the daily decisions no one sees. It's built in the moments you keep your word to yourself when no one would know if you broke it. It's strengthened every time you stand for your values when it would be easier to fold. It grows when you choose discipline over distraction, purpose over popularity, vision over validation. Every act of self-mastery is a brick in the fortress of your mind. Every time you trust yourself instead of the crowd, every time you keep moving forward when applause fades, you add strength to your foundation. And one day, without even realizing it, you'll look around and find that the opinions that once enslaved you have no hold anymore. You'll have built something so solid, so unshakable, that you no longer need to beg for power. You are the power. The world does not make you powerful. Followers, likes, applause, none of it makes you real. Only you can do that. In the silence, in the struggle, in the steady, relentless building of a mind that does not bend. Stop begging for validation. Start building your strength. Because the only approval you'll ever need is the approval you give yourself. Focus is not just a tool. It is a force, a creative weapon, a sculptor of destiny. Whatever you aim your focus at, grows. Whatever you neglect, withers. Your mind is not static. It is shaped daily, moment by moment, by where you direct your energy. If your attention is scattered, your life will be scattered. If your attention is clear, your path becomes unstoppable. Most people never realize this. They live with a fractured mind, pulled in 1,000 directions, reactive to every noise, addicted to every distraction. They mistake movement for progress, busyness for productivity. But motion without meaning is just chaos wearing a mask. It is not achievement, it is exhaustion. Clarity is born the moment you reclaim your focus. When you turn away from what does not serve you, when you stop giving fragments of yourself to every voice demanding your attention, you begin to see with new eyes. The fog starts to lift. The noise begins to fade. And in that silence, something sacred emerges. Vision. Vision is what gives birth to peace. Not peace as the absence of noise, but peace as the presence of purpose. When you know who you are and where you're going, you stop fighting every battle that calls your name. You stop wasting energy on arguments that don't matter. You stop explaining yourself to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. Peace is not passive. It is the powerful result of clear focus. And from that peace, strength is born. Not the kind of strength that needs to boast or dominate, but the quiet, relentless strength that endures. When you are focused, you are no longer tossed by every wave, no longer at the mercy of every storm. You move differently. You speak differently. Your energy shifts. People feel it even if they cannot explain it. Your focus becomes your fortress. Your clarity becomes your compass. Your peace becomes your weapon. But focus requires choice. Every day you will be tempted to divide yourself. Every day something will call for your attention, the meaningless, the urgent, the easy. Focus demands you say no more often than you say yes. It demands that you protect your mind like sacred ground, because that is exactly what it is. The world will not guard your focus for you. It will not remind you of your vision. It will not protect your peace. That responsibility is yours. And when you take it seriously, when you choose to direct your mind with intention instead of drifting through life, you will find that clarity sharpens, peace deepens, and strength multiplies. The world will keep spinning. The noise will keep roaring, but you will be anchored. You will be different because you chose to focus on yourself. And when you do, your mind is no longer a battlefield. It becomes a weapon. It becomes a force. It becomes a foundation for a life that nothing and no one can shake. Life is a journey, but not everyone is driving. Most people are passengers, moving along paths they didn't choose, inside vehicles they didn't build, heading toward destinations they never wanted. They sit quietly in the back seat of their own existence, hands off the wheel, eyes glazed by distraction, hearts numbed by routine. They live reactively, responding to every bump, every detour, every shout from the crowd. They let life happen to them instead of through them. But there is another way. At any moment, you can decide to stop being a passenger. You can decide to take the wheel. You can rip your life out of neutral and drive it with intention toward a destiny only you can see. But make no mistake, it will cost you. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you excuses. It will cost you the ability to blame anyone else for where you end up, because the one who holds the wheel owns the journey. Most people don't want that responsibility. It's easier to blame traffic than to chart a new course. It's easier to point fingers than to turn inward and ask, where am I steering my life? But if you don't drive, life will drive you. If you don't decide, someone else will. If you don't pick a destination, you'll spend your years wandering through everyone else's. Taking the wheel begins in your mind. It's not about controlling the world outside. Storms will still come. Roads will still break. Winds will still howl. It's about controlling your reactions, your direction, your choices in the middle of it all. It's about refusing to live by default and choosing to live by design. When you drive your own life, you don't wait for opportunity to knock. You build the door. You don't hope for clarity. You create it through action. You don't fear detours. You navigate them with calm conviction because you know your destination hasn't changed. Only the path has. The ones who change the world aren't the ones who had perfect roads. They're the ones who refuse to let rough roads steal their steering wheel. They didn't drift. They drove. They didn't react. They created. They weren't passengers waiting for permission. They were drivers commanding their destiny. And you can be one too. But it requires a decision, a real one. Not a wish, not a hope. A choice backed by action. You must stand up inside yourself and declare, I will not sit passively through this life. I will take the wheel. I will lead my mind, my energy, my vision, even if no one else believes in it yet. Because the truth is simple. You're already moving. Time is already passing. The only question is, are you driving? Or are you just along for the ride? Choose now. Take the wheel. It's your life. Steer it. Most people don't lose their power all at once. They lose it silently, slowly, without even noticing. They trade it piece by piece for distractions that offer nothing and opinions that mean even less. They wake up one day feeling hollow, confused, frustrated, wondering how life drifted so far from what they once dreamed. But it didn't happen in a moment. It happened one invisible link at a time. The world is filled with noise, endless notifications, countless opinions, 1,000 voices telling you what to believe, how to act, who to become. And if you're not conscious, you absorb it all. You scroll, you compare, you react, you shape yourself to fit a mold you didn't design. You surrender your direction to the loudest distraction, your energy to the cheapest validation, your focus to the nearest crisis. And you think this is normal because everyone around you is doing the same. But normal is the real danger. Normal is the slow death of greatness. The mind was never designed to be open to every voice. It was designed to be guarded, directed, disciplined. When you allow distractions to dictate your focus, you are building invisible chains around your future. When you allow opinions to bend your truth, you are handing over your authority without a fight. When you allow noise to drown out your inner voice, you are surrendering the one thing no one should ever touch, your mind. It doesn't feel dramatic in the moment. It's subtle, harmless even. 5 minutes here, a quick scroll there, a harmless debate, a meaningless argument. But every time you give your energy away to what doesn't serve you, you weaken the walls of your mind. Every time you let noise fill the silence where clarity was meant to grow, you drift further from yourself. The strongest people you admire are the ones who seem to move through life with calm certainty. They were not born immune to the noise. They chose to build walls where others left their gates wide open. They chose to disconnect from the chaos so they could connect with their calling. They chose silence over drama, discipline over distraction, mission over noise. And you must choose too. You will never control the noise outside, but you can control what you let inside. You can train your mind to stop absorbing every opinion. You can protect your attention like your future depends on it, because it does. You can be ruthless with your focus. Not because you're arrogant, but because you know your destiny cannot survive divided energy. You are either building your future or handing it away piece by piece. You are either strengthening your mind or letting it be stolen without a fight. The chains are invisible, but their effects are not. They will anchor you to mediocrity if you let them, or you can break them today, right now, by choosing silence over noise, focus over frenzy, purpose over passivity. Because the only way to win this invisible war is to stop giving away the keys. There is a moment, a raw, piercing, undeniable, when you finally see yourself without the filters, without the excuses, without the masks you built to survive. It's not a comfortable moment. It's not pretty. It doesn't stroke your ego or soothe your fears. It confronts you. It strips you down to the core. And in that brutal clarity, something powerful is born, the beginning of true freedom. Most people spend their entire lives running from this moment. They drown it out with distractions. They bury it under busyness. They shield themselves with layers of pride and polished images. Because to see yourself clearly demands a kind of courage few are willing to summon. It's easier to pretend. It's easier to blame. It's easier to say, they did this to me, instead of asking, what have I allowed? But brutal honesty is the doorway to transformation. You cannot change what you refuse to see. You cannot rise while clinging to illusions. Growth requires confrontation, not with the world, but with yourself. It asks you to look straight into the mirror, not to criticize, but to understand, not to shame, but to awaken. When you strip away the noise, when you stop performing, when you allow yourself to sit in silence and simply observe, the truth emerges. You see the patterns you've repeated out of fear, the dreams you abandoned out of doubt, the compromises you made because validation felt safer than authenticity. You see the ways you have been both your greatest enemy and your greatest hope. And if you are brave enough to stay in that truth, not run, not hide, not distract, you unlock a level of power that most never touch. Because when you see yourself clearly, you also see your strength. You see the potential you buried under fear. You see the resilience woven through your failures. You see the fire that never fully went out, even when the world tried to smother it. Honesty is not destruction. It is reconstruction. It tears down what was never real so that something unshakable can be built in its place. It gives you the blueprint to stop repeating cycles and start creating something different, something higher. But you must choose it. You must choose to stop lying to yourself about your habits, your attitudes, your excuses. You must choose to stop settling for half-hearted living. You must choose to look at the parts of yourself that still need refining, not with self-hatred, but with ruthless love, the kind of love that says you are made for more and I will not let you forget it. The world will keep offering you distractions, easy escapes, shallow affirmations, but they are all counterfeit comfort. The real comfort comes from knowing who you are, facing who you are, and building who you are becoming, brick by honest brick. Because the moment you see yourself clearly, you stop chasing an identity. You start creating one. And in that creation, you find a power that nothing and no one can take away. Chaos is the default. It's what happens when you let life happen to you instead of through you. It's the noise of a mind pulled in every direction, the scattered energy of a heart chasing everything and catching nothing. It's where most people live, reacting, stressing, doubting, spinning, convinced that this is just how life is. But chaos is not your destiny. It's a symptom of unfocused living. And the cure is clarity. Clarity is rare because it must be chosen. It doesn't shout like distractions do. It whispers. It waits for the moment you stop running and decide to listen. It comes not when you chase it frantically, but when you get still enough to recognize it. And once you have clarity, true clarity, born from deep reflection and brutal honesty, everything changes. Clarity cuts through the noise. It silences the 100 competing demands and says, this is the way. It brings your energy into alignment. It turns fragmented effort into focused power. With clarity, decisions stop feeling heavy. Paths stop feeling confusing. You don't need to chase every opportunity because you know which ones belong to you. You don't need to entertain every distraction because you understand what you're building is worth protecting. And from clarity, control is born. Control is not about manipulating the world around you. It's about mastering the world within you. It's about owning your reactions, your focus, your energy, your priorities. When you have control, you stop living reactively. You stop handing your peace to every bad driver, every rude comment, every delay or inconvenience. You move from being a slave to circumstance to becoming a master of response. The world worships control of others, status, fame, dominance, but real power, the kind that cannot be shaken, is found in control of self. It is quieter. It is deeper. It does not need to announce itself. It simply is. It moves with precision. It speaks with authority. It acts with unshakable intention. And when you master control, you step into real power. Power not measured by the number of people who follow you, but by the consistency with which you follow yourself. Power that moves mountains because it first mastered the mind. Power that doesn't flinch when storms come because it was built in the silence before the storm. But you cannot shortcut your way there. You must walk the path from chaos to clarity, from clarity to control, and from control to power. Each step demands honesty. Each step demands discipline. Each step demands focus. And the reward is not just a stronger mind, it's a stronger life. A life no longer dictated by the tides of circumstance, but directed by the compass of conviction. Chaos will always exist, but you don't have to live in it. You can walk through it, clear, controlled, powerful. You can lead your life instead of being led by it. You just have to decide that confusion is no longer your home. Clarity is waiting, control is waiting, power is waiting, and it all begins with the choice to step out of chaos and into mastery. You can decorate the outside of your life with success, titles, possessions, applause. But if your inner world is in turmoil, none of it will last. Everything you build on the outside eventually reflects what's happening inside. A broken mind creates a broken life. A divided heart builds a divided future. That's why guarding your inner world isn't a suggestion. It's survival. Most people live from the outside in. They let the world's chaos dictate their peace. They let circumstances define their confidence. They let rejection rewrite their worth. They are emotional puppets, pulled by the opinions of others, swayed by every setback, crushed by every unmet expectation. They react because they have not built anything solid inside, and the storms that life inevitably brings tear them apart from the inside out. But you can live differently. You were never meant to be a victim of external conditions. You were designed to be governed by something far stronger, the state of your inner world. Proverbs says, "Guard your heart with all diligence, for from it flow the springs of life." Not some things, all things. Your relationships, your dreams, your resilience, your peace, all of it flows from what is happening inside you. When your heart is guarded, when your mind is anchored, when your spirit is aligned, storms come, but they don't destroy you. Winds blow, but they don't move you. Guarding your inner world doesn't mean living in fear. It means living with fierce intentionality. It means choosing every day what enters your mind, what plants seeds in your heart, what thoughts you allow to take root. It means setting standards for your mental diet the same way you would for your physical health. Not every voice deserves your attention. Not every argument deserves your energy. Not every wound deserves to stay open in your spirit. You must build walls, not to keep life out, but to keep chaos out. You must filter what you consume. You must protect the sanctuary of your mind as if your life depends on it, because it does. Because the world will never stop trying to invade. Fear will knock at the door. Doubt will shout through the windows. Distraction will try to sneak through the cracks. But if your foundation is strong, if your heart is guarded, you can let the storms rage without letting them inside. This is the hidden work of true greatness. It's not built on stages. It's built in secret, in the quiet discipline of protecting your inner world when no one is watching. And when the foundations of others crumble, you will stand, not because you are lucky, not because you are perfect, but because you built your strength where it mattered most, within. The quality of your life is the reflection of your inner condition. Guard it, shape it, strengthen it. Because when your inner world is right, the outer world has no choice but to follow. There's a rare kind of courage the world forgets to honor. The courage to listen inward when everything outside screams otherwise. The courage to hear a calling no one else understands, to follow a path no one else sees. It's not loud courage. It's not performed for applause. It's a quiet, immovable conviction born in the solitude of a focused soul. And it is the kind of courage that changes history. Florence Nightingale understood this. Born into wealth and privilege, she was expected to live a life of comfort, of society parties, of quiet conformity. That was the path laid before her, safe, celebrated, controlled. But deep within her, a different call stirred, a quiet voice pulling her toward service, toward sacrifice, toward a mission that defied her upbringing and the world's expectations. She listened, not to the noise of society, not to the fear of disappointing others, but to the deeper truth within her. She turned inward. She anchored herself not in external validation, but in internal conviction. And from that inward focus, a kind of courage was born. A courage that led her into disease-ridden war hospitals when others fled. A courage that battled not just sickness, but bureaucracy, tradition, and deeply ingrained resistance. A courage that redefined medicine itself. Had she listened to the outside world, she would have remained a footnote, another name in a long list of the forgotten obedient. But because she listened inward, because she obeyed a calling no one else could hear, she changed the course of history. You are called to do the same, maybe not to war zones, maybe not to revolutionize an industry, but to live your life by conviction, not convenience. To listen to the quiet voice within that says, there's more for you. To turn inward and find the courage the world desperately needs, courage rooted not in pride, but in purpose. The world is noisy. It rewards conformity. It punishes difference. It teaches you to listen outward to the trends, the expectations, the safe paths. But destiny is not found outward. It is unlocked inward. And only those brave enough to turn their focus within will find it. You don't need the world's permission to become what you were born to be. You don't need the applause of strangers to validate your mission. You need one thing, the courage to trust the voice inside you more than the noise outside you, because the truth is simple. Every legacy you admire was built by someone who chose focus over frenzy, conviction over comfort, purpose over popularity. They didn't wait for approval. They didn't need applause. They listened inward. And because they did, the world had no choice but to listen back. You are not here to blend in. You are here to build, to heal, to lift, to lead. But it will never happen if you live outward. It will only happen when you have the courage to go inward first and obey the call that no one else can hear but you. There's a harsh truth most people spend their lives avoiding. No one is coming to save you. Not your parents, not your boss, not your friends, not some miracle twist of fate. And while that truth may sting at first, if you're willing to sit with it, you'll realize it's the most liberating truth you'll ever know. Because the moment you stop waiting for rescue, you start building your own way out. Most people live in quiet desperation, hoping someone will notice, hoping someone will open the door, hoping opportunity will land in their lap. They wait for the economy to change, for the right connection to appear, for the perfect moment to strike. They waste precious years sitting on the sidelines of their own lives, blaming the game, blaming the rules, blaming everyone but themselves. But leadership, true leadership, begins the moment you accept full responsibility for your life, not partial responsibility, not conditional responsibility, full responsibility. You are the architect. You are the builder. You are the rescuer you have been waiting for. Self-leadership is not glamorous. It's not loud. It's not applauded in its early stages. It looks like getting up when no one's watching. It looks like doing the hard things no one will ever thank you for. It looks like making decisions that are lonely, difficult, misunderstood, but necessary. The law of self-leadership is simple. If you want a different life, you must lead yourself into it. No shortcuts, no loopholes, no handouts. Leadership doesn't mean you know everything. It means you are willing to move forward even when you don't. It means you are willing to be misunderstood for a season in order to build a life that others will someday admire. It means you are willing to carry the weight of your future on your own shoulders until it becomes strong enough to carry others too. You can wait for someone to change your life, or you can change it yourself. You can wish for a hero, or you can become one. Every day, every moment, the choice is yours. No one else can make it for you. And here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you stop needing rescue, the world starts opening doors. The moment you step into full ownership, opportunities you couldn't see before begin to appear. Resources, relationships, results. They come not to the desperate, but to the decisive. They come to those who have already decided that whether anyone shows up or not, they are building anyway. Freedom doesn't come from being saved. It comes from realizing you never needed saving in the first place, so you needed awakening. You have the tools. You have the mind. You have the breath in your lungs and the fire in your spirit. That's enough. It's always been enough. So stop waiting. Stop hoping someone else will see your potential. See it yourself. Lead yourself. Because the future belongs to those who are willing to do the work when no one else is coming. Strength is not forged in the spotlight. It is not crafted in applause. It does not grow in the noise of endless opinions or the chaos of crowded rooms. True strength, the kind that endures storms and carries others through them, is built in silence. It is shaped in the hidden places where no one is watching and no one is cheering. Most people fear solitude. They run from it. They fill every quiet space with noise, every still moment with distraction. They mistake constant motion for progress and endless talking for wisdom. But the strongest minds understand something different. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is the forge. In solitude, you come face to face with yourself. There's no applause to hide behind, no validation to shield you, no noise to distract you from the truth. There's only you, your fears, your dreams, your doubts, your potential, staring back at you with brutal honesty. It's in this place, this quiet confrontation, that real growth begins. Because strength is not built by accident. It is built by endurance. the endurance to sit with discomfort, the endurance to reflect with honesty, the endurance to sharpen your mind when no one else sees the effort. The quiet moments you spend in solitude are not wasted. They are investments, deep deposits into the foundation of the person you are becoming. In solitude, you train your mind to think for itself. You build convictions not borrowed from others, but forged through your own fire. You discover the depth of your spirit and the vastness of your resilience. You learn that peace is not something you chase outside. It's something you cultivate inside. The greatest breakthroughs are not born in noise. They are born in stillness. Stillness creates space for revelation. It allows clarity to surface. It gives wisdom a chance to speak. And when you emerge from that solitude, you don't walk into the world uncertain. You walk anchored. You walk with a strength the world cannot manufacture because it did not give it to you. History's greatest leaders, innovators, and warriors knew this secret. They withdrew before they advanced. They disappeared before they emerged. They trained in silence so they could command in strength. They understood that if you cannot master yourself in private, you will collapse in public. You don't need constant movement to grow. You need focused silence. You need intentional solitude. You need space to hear your own voice above the noise. Because when you build strength in the unseen places, you create a mind that cannot be broken by anything seen. The world will keep trying to pull you outward, to distract you, to dilute you. Let it. You have a different path, a quieter path, a stronger path. Enter the silence, forge your strength, and when you emerge, the world will feel the difference, even if they never understand where it came from. It's easy to feel behind, easy to look around at the curated lives flashing across your screen and wonder if you missed your moment. Easy to believe the lie that you're late, that you're lost, that you're somehow less because your path doesn't look like theirs. But the truth is simpler and far more powerful. You are not behind. You are becoming. Growth doesn't happen on a public timeline. It doesn't announce itself with flashing lights or grand celebrations. It unfolds quietly beneath the surface while the world isn't watching. Seeds don't bloom the day they're planted. They push through darkness. They wrestle with unseen soil. They fight battles no eye can see. And when they finally break through, the world calls it sudden success. But it wasn't sudden at all. It was a long obedience in the same direction. Comparison is a thief, a silent assassin that robs you not only of your peace, but of your progress. Every time you measure your worth against someone else's highlight reel, you cheapen your own journey. You overlook the beauty of your own becoming because you're too busy mourning a race you were never meant to run. You are not behind. You are on your own timeline, a path crafted with intention, with lessons tailored for your strength, with seasons designed for your growth. Every delay carried wisdom. Every setback shaped resilience. Every silent season built depth. What you call being behind, heaven calls preparation. The world celebrates speed. It rewards visibility. But legacy is not built in a sprint. It's built in quiet endurance. It's built when you choose to keep showing up, even when there's no audience, even when progress is invisible, even when doubt hisses that it would be easier to quit. If you could see the roots you're growing underground, you would stop questioning yourself. If you could glimpse the foundation being laid for what's coming, you would bless the hidden seasons instead of cursing them. The ones who change the world are not the ones who bloom fastest. They're the ones who grew strongest. You must choose to trust your process, to protect your focus from the poison of comparison, to celebrate small victories that no one claps for yet, to believe that the invisible work you're doing now will someday bear visible fruit that cannot be ignored. Because you are not late. You are being made. You are being stretched, strengthened, sharpened, prepared. The timeline you think you're supposed to be following is an illusion. The only race you are meant to run is your own. The only comparison you are allowed is between who you were yesterday and who you are becoming today. Stand tall in your process. Trust the hidden work. Silence the voice that says you should be somewhere else by now. You are not behind. You are right on time for your own becoming. The world will try to guilt you for focusing on yourself. It will call you selfish for saying no, for guarding your time, for protecting your energy. It will whisper that you owe everyone your constant attention, your endless availability, your immediate response. But here's the truth they won't tell you. Focus is not selfish. Focus is sacred. When you choose to focus, you're not abandoning the world. You're preparing to serve it at a higher level. You're building something stronger than scattered energy and diluted presence. You are forging a mind, a spirit, a life that can actually make an impact. Scattered people cannot lead. Exhausted souls cannot lift others. Distracted minds cannot build anything that lasts. And when you pour yourself thin for everything and everyone, you don't multiply your power, you erase it. You don't become more available to those who matter. You become less powerful, less present, less capable of real service. Focus is an act of love, not just toward yourself, but toward your mission, your calling, your future influence. Strategic focus means you recognize that your energy is not infinite. Your days are not unlimited. Your gifts are not meant to be squandered on noise. Strategic focus means you are a good steward of the life you've been entrusted with. When you say no to what doesn't align, you are saying yes to what truly matters. When you withdraw from chaos, you are stepping deeper into purpose. When you refuse to be everything for everyone, you position yourself to be something unshakable for the few things that truly count. The world will keep pulling at you, demanding you dilute yourself, begging you to be busy instead of effective, asking you to sacrifice your deeper calling for surface-level approval. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand. You are not called to live their small definition of generosity. You are called to be laser-focused on becoming the person your destiny demands. Focus sharpens you. It clarifies your vision. It strengthens your gifts. It allows you to walk into a room and change it. Not because you're loud, but because you're locked in. Focus allows you to do deep work that leaves a mark long after the noise fades. And here's the hidden truth. When you are fully focused, you serve the world better than 1,000 distracted offerings ever could. You give the world a version of yourself that is anchored, powerful, and overflowing, not depleted, bitter, and resentful. You owe it to your calling to focus. You owe it to your future to be strategic. You owe it to every life you're meant to touch to become disciplined about where you invest your mind. Focus is not selfish. It is sacred stewardship. It is the highest form of respect for your life, for your mission, for your Creator. Guard it with everything you have. Build it like your legacy depends on it. Because it does. Every thought you think, every choice you make, every action you repeat, it's all planting something. Whether you realize it or not, your energy is a seed. And seeds, by their nature, don't stay invisible. Sooner or later, what you plant will grow. Sooner or later, the harvest comes. The question is never whether you are planting. The only question is, what are you planting? Most people move through life blindly scattering seeds they will one day regret. Seeds of distraction, seeds of procrastination, seeds of fear, resentment, blame. They don't realize that every moment of divided attention, every excuse, every surrender to comfort over commitment is a seed. And that seeds, given time and consistency, always bloom. You cannot plant indifference and expect excellence. You cannot plant chaos and expect peace. You cannot plant excuses and expect destiny. But the opposite is just as true. If you plant discipline, you will reap mastery. If you plant consistency, you will reap momentum. If you plant faith, you will reap strength. If you plant focus, you will reap greatness. Energy is never neutral. Wherever you focus it, that is the soil where your future will rise. If you waste it on comparison, you weaken your foundation. If you invest it in growth, you build something the world cannot shake. Destiny is not a lottery ticket you stumble upon. Destiny is the slow, deliberate work of planting the right seeds day after day, even when no one claps, even when no results are visible, even when the ground looks barren. The harvest is never immediate. It's invisible before it's inevitable. The dangerous temptation is impatience, to plant a few seeds of effort and then dig them up when the results don't show fast enough, to switch paths, change goals, abandon disciplines because the fruit isn't visible yet. But harvests belong to the patient. Strength belongs to the persistent. Greatness belongs to those who trust that the hidden work is working. You must decide every day what seeds you are planting. You must guard your soil, your mind, your heart, your time, like it is sacred ground. Because it is. Every thought matters. Every hour matters. Every decision matters. You are not a victim of random outcomes. You are the gardener of your own future. And if you will be ruthless about planting seeds of destiny, seeds of focus, effort, faith, resilience, then one day the world will look at the life you have built and call it extraordinary. But you will know the truth. It wasn't magic. It wasn't luck. It was the invisible work, the daily planting, the daily protecting, the daily believing. Plant wisely, water faithfully, protect fiercely, because your future harvest depends on the seeds you choose today. Excellence doesn't collapse all at once. It bleeds away, quietly, slowly, invisibly, in the moments when you say, just this once. It fades every time you lower your standard to make today a little easier, every time you shrink your commitment because no one is watching, every time you let yourself believe that one slip won't matter. But it matters. It always matters. Standards are not for when life is easy. Standards are the line you draw when life is hard, when temptation is loud, when excuses sound reasonable. They are the unshakable boundaries that keep your future protected when your present feels tired, distracted, or weak. Most people lose their way not in one massive decision, but in 1,000 tiny compromises. A skipped workout here, a broken promise there, a task left unfinished, a dream shelved for now. And with every compromise, their self-respect erodes, their discipline weakens, their future dims. Excellence is not a mood. It's not a burst of motivation. It is a standard you refuse to lower. No matter how you feel, no matter who's watching, no matter how tempting the shortcut becomes. When you live by high standards, you carry yourself differently. You move with a quiet authority that doesn't need to be announced. You build a mind that trusts itself, because you have proven day after day that you can be trusted. The greatest power you will ever hold is the ability to keep promises to yourself when no one else would know if you broke them. That's the test. That's where strength is born, not in grand gestures, but in the small, silent moments of decision. You must decide now, before the pressure comes, who you will be. You must anchor your standards so deeply into your identity that when temptation shows up, and it will, there is no negotiation. You must live by the rule. If it lowers my standard, it's not an option. The world will keep offering you easy paths. They will look good. They will sound smart. They will promise faster rewards. But easy paths lead to fragile lives, and you are not here to live a fragile life. You are here to build something unbreakable. High standards are not about arrogance. They are about alignment. alignment with the person you are becoming, the future you are creating, the legacy you are building. Every time you honor your standard, even when it hurts, you lay another brick in a life that storms cannot shake. It's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. It's about making fewer and fewer compromises until discipline becomes your default, until your future is no longer a question of if, but when. Draw the line high, hold it fiercely, because your future does not rise to the level of your intentions. It rises and falls to the level of your standards. The loudest voice in your life is not the world's. It's not your critics. It's not even your friends or family. The loudest voice is the one inside your own mind, the one narrating every move, judging every step, interpreting every setback. And that voice, whether you realize it or not, is either building your future or breaking it. Most people lose their battles long before they take action. They lose them in the mind. They lose them in the whispers of doubt they allow to grow unchecked. I'm not good enough. I'll never make it. I always fail. These are not just harmless thoughts. They are declarations. And declarations become beliefs. Beliefs become actions. Actions shape destiny. You cannot speak defeat and expect to live victory. If you want to lead your life, you must first lead your mind. You must speak to yourself like a leader speaks to an army preparing for battle, with clarity, with strength, with unshakable vision. You must train your voice to call out the best in you, not the worst. You must become the voice that reminds you who you are when the world forgets, when fear roars, when failure tempts you to shrink. Leaders don't wait to feel courageous before they speak courage. They speak it first, and the feeling follows. And you must do the same. You must speak into your own soul the words you need most, words of power, not pity. Words of purpose, not panic. I am not my past. I am my potential. I am not my failures. I am my future. I am not weak. I am rising. This is not blind positivity. This is strategic warfare. This is taking command of your internal environment so you can withstand the battles of the external world. If you allow the voice inside you to echo fear, doubt, insecurity, your steps will follow it. But if you command that voice, discipline it, shape it to serve your mission, there is nothing you cannot overcome. Your self-talk is not background noise. It is the foundation upon which your actions are built. And foundations crack or hold depending on what they're made of. So ask yourself, would you follow the leader you are being to yourself? Would you trust the voice you're listening to in the silence? If the answer is no, it's time to change it. No one can do it for you. No one can rescue your mind but you. Start now. Speak strength. Speak clarity. Speak resilience. Speak the future you are building. Speak to yourself as the person you are becoming, not the person you used to be. Because when you master your voice, you master your mind. And when you master your mind, you master your life. There comes a point where the shift is irreversible. A point where the mind you have built, through silence, through discipline, through relentless focus, becomes unshakable. The storms still come, the noise still roars, the chaos still rages, but you are no longer moved by it. You are no longer bent by every wind, no longer distracted by every voice, no longer shaken by every setback, because you have mastered the battlefield within. And when you master your mind, the world around you changes, not because it becomes easier, but because you have become stronger. You no longer adapt yourself to the chaos. The chaos must now adapt to you. You no longer live on defense. You move through life on offense, clear, directed, untouchable in your purpose. The unshakable mind is not a mind without struggle. It is a mind that refuses to surrender. It is built through fire, not comfort, through solitude, not applause, through discipline, not wishful thinking. It is the product of every choice you made when it would have been easier to quit, easier to drift, easier to compromise. And now that foundation carries you. You walk into rooms differently. You handle setbacks differently. You make decisions differently because your mind is no longer a victim of circumstance. It is the architect of response. Your peace is not fragile anymore. Your clarity is not seasonal. Your strength is not conditional. You have become the storm you used to fear. The world respects an unshakable mind, even when it doesn't understand it. People feel your energy before you speak. They feel the weight of someone who does not need permission, who does not need validation, who does not crumble under pressure. They sense the authority of someone who has fought the hardest battle, the ones inside, and won. This is the true reward of the work you have done, not just success, but sovereignty, not just achievement, but dominion. You no longer beg for peace. You bring it. You no longer chase clarity. You embody it. You no longer ask for strength. You live it. You are no longer at the mercy of the world. The world is at the mercy of the mind you have built. This is the rise of the unshakable. Not loud, not frantic, steady, certain, relentless. You were not made to drift. You were not made to beg. You were made to build. You were made to lead. You were made to master. Now walk with it. Live it. Be it. Because when the mind is unshakable, the future is unstoppable.